everybody, thank you so much for tuning in today. So I floated this idea quite a while ago, like several weeks ago, I think. I was saying how I was watching Days of Our Lives. There's a storyline with Bo and Hope back on there again, and they flashed back to their wedding. And as soon as I saw Christian Alfonso, I believe that's how you say her name, Christian. As soon as I saw her in wedding mode, I was like, oh my gosh, I love this look. Wouldn't it be fun to recreate it? I actually think it would look beautiful anytime, any era of life, whatever, but like she looked amazing. And somehow I got to talking about this in one of my rambly videos, and a lot of you guys were like, yeah, do it, I want to see it. So yeah, we're doing 80s wedding makeup. I believe that wedding took place in 1983, and that's the same year I was born. And I was also thinking like, oh, I've got to do something with my hair. Well, I don't have a veil, so my hair's just going to be pulled back. But I have really studied her face. I feel like I've figured out what to use. The eye makeup kind of stalled me because I feel like it's actually a little bit plummy. Perhaps it's hard to say. Sometimes eyes and lips look different in different lighting, but there's a bold blush. Her brows are very prominent. So I'm just hoping we can kind of do this look justice in some way. So what I've got on my skin right now is all my skincare, my serums, and the last thing I put on is that ABH, what do they call that? Hydra Prime SPF 50. It feels really smooth on your skin when you get it blended in, and it does function as a nice primer, I think. So then as far as her overall skin look, it seems extremely matte and full coverage. So I looked to what I have and I thought about which shade might match me best. Right now I've got a little bit of a tan, so I went for my CoverGirl Outlast Extreme Wear. This is among my favorite long wearing foundations, and it is able to look just really flawless on the skin. My shade is Natural Beige. So yeah, we're gonna get a pump of that out and just get going on the blending. I'm really excited to recreate this look. Let me know if there are other like look recreations that you'd be interested in seeing. I think I just put everything I had on my left cheek. That's okay, we'll blend it around. This is the full-size Sonia Kashuk blending sponge. And yeah, I think this shade is gonna be perfect for today. What am I going to be doing in this makeup today, you ask? Well, I'm going to take a child to tumbling this morning for her lesson. That's Belle's. Biddy's got her lesson coming up this afternoon, so just kind of a day of shuttling back and forth, doing some learning time here. My kids have been doing those Brain Quest workbooks. Biddy's still finishing hers up. Belle somehow finished hers like last week, and she's like, what do I do? I said, just journal. Get some writing practice in. Do like a page-long journal entry every day. And I said, if nothing else, your future self is gonna love looking through that, because one of my favorite things when we were cleaning out Mom and Dad's house, I loved finding old diaries and reading through like what I was writing in 4th or 5th or 6th grade. Like, that was awesome. Very entertaining. Okay, so I'm getting all this blended in. I'm getting lighter coverage, blending it with the sponge. Like, I feel like I'm at a medium here instead of a full. So I might build just a little bit. I'm seeing through to my freckles. You're definitely not seeing any of her freckles. So I think I'll just build a little bit. This is really a reasonably light foundation for what it's capable of doing. I don't think it's going to be a problem to add a little more, especially here across the tops of the cheeks. Yeah. And sometimes I consider the fact that like maybe this wedding was shot over the course of several days, or maybe like pictures and photo shoots, because I'm also going off of some photo shoot pictures. Maybe those were done on a completely different day, and maybe the makeup was a little different. Like in some shots I'm seeing more of a pinky lip, in some shots the lip looks more natural. I don't know. I'm mostly trying to emulate the look I saw on the show. But there's that foundation all blended in. Now something else that's going to add to our coverage is the concealer, and I oftentimes feel like when I stay within the same range for a foundation and a concealer, if I have it, they end up wearing really well together. So I have the Outlast concealer here, the Extreme Wear concealer. This is in the shade Ivory, and I'm just going to use that as my coverage on the under eye area and around the nose. Get a little bit on each finger and do some dabs around maybe. Get a little bit more for around the nose area. And I'm also going to grab this Morphe M132 brush for concealer and allow that to spread the product out a little bit more. There are really two soaps that I keep up with. They're Bold and the Beautiful and Days of Our Lives. I started watching Bold and the Beautiful back when Belle was a newborn, and I remember just like I must have had the noon news on or something, and then it rolled into Bold and the Beautiful, and I'm sitting there nursing all the time, feeling like I'm glued to a chair or I'm rocking her or whatever, and that show was on. And I knew my mom watched it, but I just kind of had it on, and lo and behold, when you just have something on in the background, inevitably you start to become somewhat tied to those plot lines and what's going on, and so I did get into that. And there's a ton going down on B&B right now with Liam. And Days of Our Lives happened when I just flip over to NBC, and again, it's kind of a nap time background noise thing, like I'm editing a video that's on in the background, but eventually I get very tied to what's going on. And then it moved recently to Peacock, so I watch it on Peacock. But there we go with that concealer blended in. I think we're looking really full coverage how I want to look. My skin, I think, really looks like skin still. But we are going to add some powder on top of this too, because she definitely has a matte look. And I see a nice brightness on her under eye. So I'm going to go to my Maybelline Fit Me Loose Powder in Fair and just dab into this. And I'm getting a good amount on, as you can see. I can dust away excess, but we're really going for just super perfected skin. I mean, this could be some good present day wedding makeup, potentially. I know that foundation lasts a long time. I wore Rimmel Lasting Finish for my wedding. I remember having that squeeze tube, you know. Now we're dabbing around the T-zone too. And then I'm just going to take my Morphe Under Eye Bullet Brush and dust some of that away. Now we're getting there with the look of the skin. Flawless matte coverage. I also want to hit the rest of my face with a little bit of powder too. I'm going to use my Maybelline Superstay Hybrid Powder Foundation. I'm going to pick some of that up with this Sephora angled brush that I've been using for powder and just swipe over the places where I did not just use the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Powder. We've been all drugstore to this point. As I look at the stuff I pulled, yeah, this is going to continue to be a very affordable routine. There we are. There's our base makeup for this look. I'm very excited about how it's turned out so far. Now, as far as contouring goes, like I'm kind of scrolling through several pictures that I have, it doesn't visibly look like there's probably a ton of actual contour. It seems like the blush is pretty heavy, and that in itself kind of defines the cheeks somewhat. It seems like she naturally just has kind of a perfect bone structure, so I might do a little contouring just to emulate that, but nothing too heavy. So that's why I chose my Catrice Melted Sun. This is in the shade Beach Babe. It's not super dark. This would be lighter than, say, my Milani Cream Blush in Spicy Season, and I'm going to work my Sephora 56 brush into that and just give myself a little dimension around the hairline, get it into the cheekbone area as well. And hopefully when I apply the blush, it can sort of play off of this contour a little bit too. I haven't blended anything yet, I'm just applying it. Dab, dab, dab. And then we'll get down here, try to snatch that jawline a little bit better. And to blend a cream contour like this, it's really just kind of a pressing motion. That's about all it takes. And try to get directly up into the hairline with no gaps. This is exactly what I was going for. I just wanted to kind of enhance the cheekbones a bit without making it too strong. And just give my skin a little more color too. In the screenshots from TV, it looks like she practically has a tan, and then there's a wedding photo where she looks absolutely Snow White-like, so I'm not sure. So I think this is gonna have to work where we're at right now. Now for blush. Blush is one of those key important things for this look because it is strong. Any way you see her from this wedding, it looks strong and pronounced, and it's really applied. Maybe not as high as I normally would. It's practically applied over the contour zone. So here's what I pulled out. I'm going with something deep and pigmented. This is from L'Oreal. It's the Infallible Fresh Wear Blush in Legendary Berry. I'm gonna keep my application soft and somewhat sheer, but I'm gonna mimic what she's got going on, okay? So I'm gonna take my e.l.f. blush brush. I was just wearing this shade the other day. Get a little bit on so you can see, you know, it's coated up, and we're taking it about here. Right in that zone. It looks very mauve-y, what she's got on, but pigmented. So I'm hoping that this blush sheared out gives us what she's got. Like I said, it's essentially in the contour zone, not up on the apple of the cheek very much. The only time my blush brush is going to touch the apple of my cheek is now, where I have hardly anything left on it. I'm constantly swiping between like 3 different pictures here. I think I might go over that with something that's a little more mauve. And I also might take my powder puff, if it has any remaining Maybelline Fit Me on it, and kind of pat that on the jawline to try to keep that blush confined. Here's what I'm thinking. A little bit of a blush like this on top. Okay, this is CoverGirl Classic Color Blush Soft Mink. Kind of mauve-y, a little bit earthy. Top my blush with that. I think that's gonna do it. And it does not appear that there's any highlighter on. We're not seeing glow. We're just seeing kind of a flawless matte skin, but definitely the blush. What we're moving on to next is the brow, and she's got a great brow. It really is kind of a modern day looking brow. She's fluffed up here in the inner corner. It's looking lighter in here. She's got the arch going on. I've got an arch to my brow, so I should be able to mimic what's happening. I'm going to take my latest thing for brows, my Morphe Nano in Java. First, I'm going to just brush through my brows. And then I'm going to really focus on hair-like strokes. I'm looking at where they meet, you know, her nose. She's really right up to where the nose starts. We're creating that more fluffy look. My brows just aren't quite doing that much, and she's got it a lot. So got the fluff. That's really a key element, and then the rest of the brow just needs to be, I think if I follow my natural shape, I'll have it. Anyone else think she has kind of a Brooke Shields vibe? The strokes I am taking here at the front of the brow, or the innermost part of the brow, are kind of straight up. She's got that fluff going right there, and I don't want to make it too thick, but I really need to see it. Am I getting it? I just keep checking the picture, checking the mirror. Take some gel over this. I don't want it to look like really shiny and done up. Frankly, her brow looks like that was probably just her brow and there wasn't much done to it at all. We don't want ours to look overly made up either. Still feel like I'm trying to be subtle with this Morphe gel. It's a lot's wanting to come on. I'm going to work my natural hairs into that shape at the inside. Her brow almost comes down a little bit from the fluff. I'm sorry guys, I'm agonizing over it. The brow is important. The eyes were probably my biggest holdup in this whole planning for this look, because I saw a picture where I thought it's most definitely plum. It's not burgundy, it's like a plumminess that I see. And then I saw some pictures and I thought, well, maybe it was just earthy tones. Going off of this picture, I see some plum. I see it blended definitely outward and kind of in here too. It's very hard to tell anywhere I look what's happening on her eyelids, so we're just going to take our best guess on that. But I needed to find a palette, and this is Wet n Wild Eye Primer. I needed to find a palette that was going to give me pure plum, because I feel like that's what I'm seeing. It's not reddish, and frankly, so many palettes I have, even if I've referred to them as having some plum, you know, it might be one plum shade, but a lot of reddish, rosy colors, and I was looking for pure real purpley, rich purpley tones. So I found something in my collection that I think is gonna take us there. And it's this Juvia's Place palette called the Violets. I actually had to get this palette a couple years ago when Belle's cheer team was doing like a real strong purpley eye, and they said, get this palette. I hesitate to make it too purpley. I just want to work in probably some of these plummy tones as I'm getting to the crease. So with that in mind, I'm also going to use like more of a nude natural palette here too, just to get things going in the crease and get something going on the lid that's just not super purple. Okay, so I'm going to take some of this shade right up here from my Catrice, the Pure Nude palette, and I'm just going to start blending that in my crease. Crease and above. This is just normal setup at this point. I'll go a little bit deeper than that. I'll come to this shade Get that in the crease as well, really deep into the crease. And yes, there is going to be a lash with this look too. I feel like she's got a really nice thick lash, not too long, but thick. See how we're just working with these shadowy neutrals here? Nothing too strong in the color department whatsoever, but we're just establishing a little bit of crease. And then we're going to take care of what's happening on the lid. Again, it's kind of our best guess. I'm going to take some of this same nude that I just put in the crease, and I'm going to put that all over my lid, leaving a little gap in the inner part for something a bit brighter. Okay, see what I mean? That was my Morphe M303 there, and then I'm going to take the 302 that's a little smaller, and I'll go into a little bit of the shimmer. I think I might be seeing something light toward the inside. So I'm just going to pat that shimmer. It's this shade right here. A little bit of that just right in here. Okay, there's the base of the look, and then we're going to take our purple. I'm going to take a little bit of this just matte plummy shade out here with my Profusion small pointed brush, and I'm going to work this into sort of an outer V. Coming up, I mean, really approaching the outer tip of the brow. Like, I don't need it to be dark, but I need it to be there. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've got to bring the shadow up and out, because I can tell, if nothing else, even if the tone is a bit murky, from what I'm seeing, it really is stretching out and up. And I might blend in like some of this in an attempt to make it look a little more on the plum side. I hope there's at least one like hardcore Days of Our Lives fan out there watching and enjoying this. Maybe somebody who actually watched it back in the day too. It doesn't seem like there's any pronounced underbrow highlight or anything, so I'm just kind of going with skin there. Again, a lot of this shade, little of that shade. It's not looking wildly plum, and I don't want it to look wildly plum, but in some pictures I would swear it looked a little plummy. And I think if we come in also with a lighter brush, that might help too. But right now I'm just trying to get that shape and make sure we've come out really far. It's looking pretty good. I'm ready to take my crease brush now and kind of go over the edge of this application and maybe take some of this. This is showing more purple. It is a shimmer, but we're just gonna like graze that over the whole crease. And I can see she's got a little shadow even coming inward, and that might be where we hit it with this. Going over the outside. Everything that's happening is very subtle right now, so if you're not seeing a lot, just know we're bumping up the purple in just a very subtle way and rolling it right into this zone too. And another thing I might do, because I think it just makes sense, would be to have more darkness on the outer lid. I'm going to go into our matte and just apply some of that in here. I found a clip online, but she never closed her eyes. Okay, gotta go over here again. Gotta make sure I'm blended out here. Am I blended? I just don't always operate in this zone of my eye. Like literally taking shadow up toward the outer corner of my brow is not a thing I often do. So I'm like, I feel like I'm in territory I don't even know about. But I think that's looking good. We need some liner. For across my upper lash line, I'm going to take my Milani Stay Put Tank liner. So it's just straight up black, and it's gonna follow the whole lash line. There's not gonna be any wing. I can definitely see that any wing to the look is created through eyeshadow. So yeah, it's just going to stop there at the natural outer part of the eye. I'm trying to determine if she has a dark waterline or not, where her lower liner is. Okay, there's our upper liner. This is Em saying, when was the last time I used a straight up black pencil on my lower lash line? Let's start doing no inner rim just to see how well that mimics the look. So this is from Revlon, sorry, it's the So Fierce Vinyl Eyeliner, and the shade is called Midnight Mystery. Okay, so we're just going to be tracing along our entire lower lash line all the way to the inner corner. All the way to the tear duct, can confirm. Man, I've not seen my eye look like that in a while. I'm gonna do it over here, and we'll do some blending, maybe a little bit. But honestly, she just has a strong lower lash line with the liner. All the way in. It looks about that thick. I think she might have a little bit on the inner rim too, now that I see it finished on me. She still just has like this somehow very wide-eyed look, and I think it's just she has these big Disney princess kind of eyes, and so they still look very wide open and not closed in at all, even though I'm pretty sure it has to be waterline now just to get the look that she has. One thing I might do just to soften it up a little bit is go into my dark shade here with the Profusion Small Pointed and go over that. I can't get too dark and smoky because it just isn't. She's very defined, but for my own comfort, I want it to soften just a little more than it is. Especially there on the outside. Alrighty, next up, holding this like there's a mirror in it, there's not. Next up, I'm gonna curl the lashes and apply just a good thickening mascara. I'm gonna use my Essence Lash Princess False Lash Effect on the upper lashes and e.l.f. Lash Extender on the lower lashes. And this will be hopefully what kind of starts to soften what's looking like a fairly harsh eye at this point. I don't feel like the shadow's harsh, but that liner all around is pretty strong. One coat of mascara starting to come together. We're gonna add some lower mascara, and then I feel like her lash line looks really thick to the point that you're not like just seeing through to her lids. You know what I mean? Like there's something going on the lash line. I've got some Ardell Wispies here. We're gonna pop these on and I'll be right back. Okay, I've got the lashes on here. I feel like it's maybe giving some of the vibe of the still picture where we really see that upswept nature to the eye look. It's making me kind of adjust on the angle of the shadow, but I think we're pretty well on it. Now on the lip, in some places I feel like it looks more pinky, in some it looks more earthy. It's definitely glossy, so I'm gonna try to get as close as I can, maybe a little bit in between. So here's the liner I'm gonna use. It's from Catrice and it's the Plumping Lip Liner. The shade is called Cheers to Life, and this is just gonna be a mauve-y color all over. FYI, it's not really plumping, but it does last forever. I'm gonna get the lip all filled in there. And then to lighten it up a little bit, I'm gonna take my lipstick from L'Oreal. This is in the shade Worth It. And I'm gonna fill in the lips with that. And that will hopefully give us some of the softness that I'm seeing in certain pictures. And then we need a lot of shine. So I'm just going to take this shade from Rimmel. This is new to me, but I'm loving this shade, layering it up on different things. It's called Dorchester Rose from the Stay Glossy line. And it doesn't offer a lot of color, but it does do tons of shine. And I'm going to go over the top with this. Okay, that's my look. I think maybe the lashes are a little bigger, like they look like the picture, but then I look at some of the screenshots from the actual show and they might be giving a little more drama than that. I feel like what I might need to do to really finish this is take some blush and kind of let a little color come up gently, just straight over the top here. This is Soft Mink from CoverGirl. Just needs a little more up there. I'm completely happy with this look for everyday makeup, frankly. I love the way the skin came together. It's very full coverage. The blush is a slightly different placement than what I'm usually doing, but I think it actually looks pretty good. Making sure I'm blended here, but I think that looks good. The eyeshadow really coming out to reach out to the tip of the brow. I like that, and my eyes lined all the way around. You know, it's not my everyday look, but you know, this was just fun. I hope you guys enjoyed watching my 80s soap opera look. I may not have nailed it completely, but I tried to come close and at least include a lot of the key elements that I saw from, you know, a lot of grainy screenshots and pictures and stuff. Christian's got blue eyes, I've got brown eyes, so that changes things a little bit. But thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for encouraging me to do this video, and I will see you again very soon. I love you. Bye.